Look at this. Look at this. YouTube. Ow my god. Bro, why? This is so chaotic. I'm so glad Paladins have bubble taunt. Oh, where's the... Are you Bro, seriously? They know! What is he doing? Why does he keep dying? There we go. Hello lovely people and welcome to another video. Bogdan here. I got a special one for you today. It is the first 20 key that we have timed part of the Impossible Challenge. If you need to catch up on any of the previous videos, there will be links at the end of this one. And if you need to catch up on the rules of the Impossible Challenge, they will be written in detail in the description box below. If you enjoyed this video and get value from it, give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and let's get right into it. What are we doing? Oh, I kind of like these. I'll take this. I'll take them. Sure, why not? Oh, here we go. Ooh, the boys. Paladin power. Paladin power. Are we actually gonna do a 20 first week? First day? 380 item level?
3, 2, 1.
Boom. Let's do this, guys. Alright, lovely people. We'll be doing a parallel commentary on top of the recording for SPG 20. And for this particular key, well, SPG isn't a very easy dungeon, so to speak, especially during Tyrannical, and this first pack can really give you a little bit of difficulty during Fortified. There is a lot of magic damage, so Paladin, Warrior, they can handle it pretty well. Anti-magic shell from DK, as long as you can deal with the magic hits, melee magic hits from the skeletons, and of course you can resist the casts, which most of them will be interrupted by the main mob, then everything should be good. These 4 mobs are a little bit of inconvenience. You know, they tend to hit pretty hard, and over here, they kind of had the better of me. Ow, my god. Yeah, they hit me pretty hard there. I didn't have any cooldowns up at that particular time, but nothing too bad, nothing I couldn't handle. I was actually quite surprised that the damage intake wasn't super difficult with this item level. I was getting chunked quite hard, and sometimes even through cooldowns, and you'll see once I pull the second I would say most difficult pack at the beginning of this dungeon. And this is something where you definitely want to rotate cooldowns, but more importantly you want to kite. So one thing that I often am told by other tanks is, hey, how do I handle, or asked better said, how do I handle some of these pulls? Well, you need to understand that as you get bigger and bigger keys, and especially if your gear is not up to par, you need to learn how to kite. So you'll need to rely on slows and some other forms of CC to do that. Bro, I got one shot. I got one shot there. That was my fault. I walked into the mob and I didn't have any pretty much any damage mitigation up. Here I pulled the boss. The first boss I like to pull, and I like to bring it into this first part of the room, simply because the door is going to close up behind us, and I can get the first daggers to spawn if people position properly here. Even in pugs, I'm pretty successful with people positioning properly, and of course you can always walk over one of those runes. It's going to do a little bit of magic damage, but you should be able to survive it no problem as a tank. Always want to focus these ads. It's indicated by the debuff that she has, the debuff on the mob, or better said the buff on the mob, and also the timer of her cast. What is the time that you have in order to defeat that mob? If you don't, she's gonna heal for quite a big percentage of her health. And here you see me stand on the outer circle in order to deal with that mechanic. A lot of people think that you need to stand in those tiny circles indicating the phases of the moon. You can actually just touch the in-between lines and you should be fine. Well, not should be, you're more than fine, because they're also going to give you the buff. So this boss is pretty straightforward. Just make sure that you're positioning the daggers in a way that it's not going to be inconvenient for your DPS to have uptime on the boss as well as on the ad. Dude, I'm misplaying so much. I misplayed there because I casted Eye of Tyr right before her teleporting into the middle, so pretty much all the time that Eye of Tyr could have mitigated damage, you know, it was pretty much wasted. And I did a couple of those on the trash. I don't know if you guys caught it, but there was a little bit of a problem that I had to deal with, especially starting to pull this dungeon because I wasn't super aware of how much damage these mobs are going to do to me, and also because this is a fresh pug. Everybody here and never played with them before, and this is one of the rules. God, man, I'm telling you, like, I have to play this perfectly or else I don't know. Some of these mobs have been doing quite surprising amounts of damage, and when I say perfectly, I mean you just need to make sure that you have constant interrupts and that you're rotating all of your cooldowns. This is, I would say, at this item level in particular, you do not want to be greedy with cooldowns. You want to use them as much as possible. I can carry this. When I say I can carry, I mean I meant the kicks on these mobs. As a paladin, it's super easy. Playing warrior this patch and DK quite a lot this patch, this first season, I have been struggling a little bit. Paladin has not been my most played tank in the past, especially since I started maining tank in Legion. But now I'm starting to focus more and more on it, especially because it's looking to be very, very good in Season 2. I need to use big defensives here. This mob is going to do a frontal, as you can see here, and he's going to chunk me quite hard. So that was through cooldowns, and of course this is something that's going to happen with other bosses as well and many other dungeons. You also saw in Algathar. If you haven't checked that up, definitely check the video at the end of this one, and you will see that these bosses tend to do quite a lot of magic damage. Now if this was tyrannical, I would have probably needed to use something extra like a shield, or maybe health pot it, or maybe save, you know, use a couple of words of glory to keep myself alive, or maybe rely on the healer to spot heal me there. I'm losing HP. You're losing HP here. Like, this is one of the easiest bosses in the game. Doesn't really do much. Arguably, Bone Maw does more than this, does less. Sorry, than this boss. But it definitely has a few abilities that hits the tank pretty hard. So one thing that I would recommend is definitely let your healer know that there are certain bosses that tend to be a little bit of an inconvenience. They tend to chunk you quite hard, and also if there are certain packs like this one, for example, what you can tell your team is, hey, can you guys do some extra crowd control, some extra CC, you know, some extra things to help me. Maybe you need to kite, maybe you need them to use some AoE interrupts, you know, leg sweeps, the AoE stuns, the AoE disorients, the fears, and so on. So make sure, just communicate with your team, even if though they're pugs, just say, hey, do you guys have something to stop this? And of course, if they don't, always ask them to spec into it. This is one of those packs that is not the toughest one to deal with, but one of the issues that I see here is, especially when playing Warrior and Death Knight, and some of the other tanks, you don't really have Poison Dispel. You can remove it as a Brewmaster, you can remove it as a Paladin. It's very difficult to remove it as a Druid because Guardian Druids, well, it's very difficult to spec into that. So the bats, when they get their casts off, yeah, that's a little bit... I dropped pretty low there, and I pretty much procced my cheat death from Guardian Angel, and then I backed it up with another cast. And I'm pretty much trying to rotate cooldowns here to stay alive. Once one of these mobs is going to go down, I'm going to immediately going to chain here. And this is a mob that can be a little bit of an inconvenience, especially on Fortified, because of the big health pool. Don't pull the bats. I didn't want to pull the bats. I definitely want to save the bats for the second mob, simply because you're pulling them from the back and they have better positioning than here. So my Avenger Shield you saw there, it bounced and it actually ended up pulling the pack. But yeah, I'm so glad Paladins had Bubble Taunt. Ended up having to use it there. As you can see, it's on cooldown right now, but it was definitely a lifesaver. And many times I've had issues getting those bats in. Oh my god, next week. Barely survived the bosses this week. Actually, bosses weren't that bad. Were they? They weren't that bad. It was actually pretty chill. They weren't that bad this week. You know, in non-tyrannical weeks. I would say maybe certain bosses to look out for would be like Herja or Odin. I really think this trinket is so overpowered. That trinket is actually a trinket that I have in a normal version from when I think I looted at like level 66 or 67 by doing a Brackenhide Hollow, and I'm still using it, doing 20s, guys. I'm doing 20s using that trinket. It's insane. It gives you like 200k HP. What do you think about no seasonal affix next season? Look, Legion seemed kind of dull for not having seasonal affix implemented at the beginning of B, I think. At first we thought it was like a PFA feature, but turns out it's like a Mythic Plus feature, and it was pretty good. I think stepping away from it and making dungeons, letting dungeons be more free flow, it's a good idea. I support the idea of no affixes simply because I favor dungeons more. I don't care about affixes this much. If the dungeons are to be good, that's all that matters. You do understand how difficult this boss is when I can answer a question from the live stream, a very good question I might add, and actually give them my input on what I think, you know, because a lot of people are concerned about no seasonal affix in Season 2. Personally, I would say don't worry about it. The dungeons are going to be pretty good. They're going to work on them. They're going to make sure that, you know, the dungeons are going to be pretty great. They know! These guys know. I was very happy that they knew to bloodlust this pack, because this is generally a pack where a lot of people will tend to die. And the issue is that if they do, mobs are going to go down pretty slow, and you're going to have to burn cooldowns that you otherwise need for the boss. And this boss isn't very complicated, but especially even on non-tyrannical, it can get pretty much out of hand with people mispositioning or, you know, moving way too slow. And you'll see here in just a second, a couple of people did quite a few mistakes, and I'm very happy that we didn't have to use any combat reses. So here, first death, we combat res that guy, but before we managed to do it, the other person, you know, steps into the wall, gets the ticking damage, so we have to burn another combat res. And over here, the wall spawns again, and you will see there will be another mistake from the Mr. Shaman here, and he's gonna go down. And unfortunately, we need to burn our last combat res. Good. What is he doing? Why does he keep dying? Why does he keep dying to the wall? That is something that typically will happen with people mispositioning. Don't try to flame, don't try to do anything like that. Just explain to people, you know, after the key. If just ask them sometimes, hey, are you not able to see the wall? Or maybe your graphics are... Please don't die again. Up to par. I got wings again. There we go. We two-chested it. We two-chested an SB. Oh boy. Yes, man. Hi, YouTube. Look at this. Hi. Look at this. Hi, YouTube. You guys need to see this. Well, that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, make sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the future videos we're uploading. Thank you very much for watching this one, and I will see you guys in the next one. If you want to watch another clip from the live stream, definitely click here. I recommend this one. And if you want to watch the full live stream, click here.